All right. We are here and happy, excited, and everybody's systems are working. Hopefully. Check, check, check. Okay, cool. I'm going to minimize that. I am Alex, founder of Partner Programs, Partner Hub, and your conductor. That's why I have this stupid hat on for Partner Tracks. This is our most fun, I think, event where we try to kind of show what's going on in the HubSpot ecosystem, introduce you to some great people that are doing it better than most, but we all want to strive to be where these companies are, hear what they are doing, what's new and what's exciting, and then also match you with some partners and then give you some go-to-market strategy. But this session is all about kind of what's going on with agency services in the HubSpot ecosystem. I'm going to do a little quick round robin introductions. Nicole, you're on my top right, so why don't you go first?
Hi, everyone. I'm Nicole Pereira. I am the CEO of a little company called Remotish. We do HubSpot RevOps and WebOps services. We also are just very pink, and so I think our branding is pretty easy to spot. It's like pink and white. And we've been in the ecosystem, or at least I've been in the ecosystem for about a decade. So I know a lot of people floating around. It's a wonderful group.
Yeah, if you guys aren't familiar with the Remotish branding, it's the not exact circle, but there's a little peach kind of circle shape. You've probably seen their LinkedIn stuff everywhere. Great branding. I love it. I think it's great. Nathan, you're right below Nicole on my end. Why don't you give a quick introduction?
Awesome. I'm Nathan Paris, CEO OnTheFuze. We've been in the ecosystem about 6 years now. We've been around about 12 years, but we basically started niching 100% in HubSpot about 6 years ago. Most of our work for the last 6 years has all been white label. So we provide the backend services for a lot of partners around the world. And then we also do, we have an onboarding division as well. So yeah, here to help and answer anything we can help with.
Yeah, I'm going to post some of your links. If anyone wants to get a hold of you guys, you can do this too. Feel free to chat your links in here. I'll be doing this too. But Jeff, let's hear what's going on with SmartBug and what's your role and what are you guys up to?
All right, cool. Hi all. I'm Jeff Ostagai, VP Client Services at SmartBug. SmartBug is a multiple-time HubSpot Partner of the Year. In my role, I oversee really the majority of our delivery team, which includes our inbound team, right, powered through HubSpot, as well as our paid teams, PR, project management, and we also have an e-com line of business that I oversee as well. So large group working for a very diverse group of clients.
Killer. Yeah, if you're not familiar with SmartBug and you're in the HubSpot ecosystem, take a look at what they're up to. It's pretty cool. And you guys are one of the unique HubSpotters that does venture into e-commerce as well, top Klaviyo partner. So doing a lot with partnerships and obviously lots of service revenue underneath all that we want to explore. And while we're on you, Jeff, let's start with a question that will kind of lead this discussion a little bit to start here. But what does it take to be HubSpot Partner of the Year? And are there any tangible numbers in there for those unfamiliar new accounts? And then also, what are the benefits of being Partner of the Year at HubSpot?
So sell a lot of HubSpot. Really, that's what it's about, right? It's about net MRR from a HubSpot perspective. That really is what it's about, right? Really helping drive HubSpot revenue, right? Either through net new or through upselling hubs. From a benefit perspective, sure, bragging rights for sure. But I mean, there's also a lot that goes along with it in terms of us being able to, associate ourselves with a brand and a partner that we're very, very proud to be working with. The one thing I will say though is, beyond just selling a lot of HubSpot, right? There are other programs that we're participating in that, might not directly contribute to it. But we've been part of the Partner Scaled Onboarding Program where we help train and get new clients up to speed on HubSpot. We've got a couple different accreditations that we've been lucky enough to get over the last year or so. So, there's the pieces that go into like, selling HubSpot and getting chosen as partner of the year, but also how we lean into it and try to, be the best partner that we can as well.
Well, congratulations on that. And I think we all agree you guys are doing a phenomenal job. So on that note, we are talking about lead generation. We're talking about selling more services. An agency that does that phenomenally well is Remotish and Nicole. So Nicole, what's your opinion or perception of why some agencies struggle to generate leads and talk towards your preferred client lead generation strategy?
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting. It's a lot of HubSpot partner agencies are or were marketing agencies. And I think it's the cobbler's children have no shoes situation where they're selling all their premium like services and brain space and capability to someone else, that it's like they themselves then are not worthy to do the same for themselves. And so oftentimes they're sort of cannibalizing their ability to build new business because they're giving all that juice to their current clients. And you have to find a way and a space to do demand gen and the demand capture and the whole cycle, right? Educate your client. Like you have to be marketing, even if you're not a marketing agency. You have to find your flavor of marketing. For us, we don't have any internal marketing function, and we're also not a marketing agency, but we make sure that we bake in thought leadership into a lot of our roles in the company. We subsidize it, we pay for it, we encourage it, we support it, we enable it. That's why you see a little 10, 12 person agency with a lot of reach. It's because we are just sort of making an army of demand generators out there so that then we can capture that easily on a website that had just as much of attention as any of our clients ever had on their websites as well.
Yeah, small team, but you guys have a huge presence, I feel like, for the size of the team, which is if I think 12 employees connect on LinkedIn, you probably have more, including contractors, et cetera, but relatively. And you guys do a ton of branding work, a ton of great work. We're going to talk a little bit more about how you enable your employees to be thought leaders and generate some of this traffic and inbound. We'll come back to that, Nicole. But Nathan, let's go down to you real quick. So Nathan sits in a very a different chair in this whole world of HubSpot. You guys are enabling agencies by providing white label services. You guys are supporting these agencies with the services that you provide the agency directly. So not dealing with the end user of HubSpot lead generation as far as the clients of the agencies, but dealing with the client, the agency demand. So speak to some of the things that you see changing, shifting, or just anything that you can speak to related to how your clients, the agencies themselves, are shifting their focus on around lead generation and sales. Anything relevant there?
I think the shift I'm seeing is a lot of inbound, of what they call inbound, or what it was inbound, needs to change a bit. I think, everyone, the whole just put a blog and, that's quote inbound. I think people are starting to, that's kind of dying a bit. Not dying, but it's not getting the traction it used to get. Yeah. So I'm seeing people they're having to, honestly, they're having to not be lazy. From what I'm seeing, I think, it was good. It was good for a while there, but then everyone started doing it, and so they're having to start changing it. I'm seeing people start integrating a bit more outbound to it. I know it's an evil word. I fucking love outbound. I love when I love when I hear people don't do it, so please keep not doing it. But starting to actually pair a bit more of that with it is where I'm seeing people getting more traction. And I think it's, if they don't make some pivots, they're gonna have hurt, because they're used to just getting deals come to them, and freaking easy deals where it's just your order taking, you're not actually even doing a sale, and they better start learning to actually do some sales, or they're not going to be around.
Yeah, so there's a lot of account-based stuff going on in there. I see a lot more just if you're not a thought leader, and that's part of the question we want to get back to both you and Nicole and Jeff around, is if you're not really forming this thought leadership component to your strategy for generating leads, I think a lot of agencies are yeah, it falls under the don't be lazy sort of strategy of you've got to be very
Yeah,
confident with what you're doing.
someone I just saw read inbound's dying. I'm not saying inbound's dying. I'm saying there's a change to it, and you got to adapt to it. So yeah, I want that quote Nathan Paris said. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying there is a change to it, and you got to adapt to it. It's just not as easy as it was, and you got to adapt to it.
Yeah, and I see you nodding your head, Jeff. Tell us any comments on what Nathan just said about inbound versus direct sales versus some of the strategies you guys have seen work. Anything there?
Yeah, I mean, so I think there's a couple things. So first, as an agency, in terms of how we position ourselves, right? We have started to drift away a bit from, that sort of inbound positioning, right? So SmartBug was always that intelligent inbound. Look, at the end of the day, we're a full service agency, right? I mean, I have multiple lines of business that roll up into me. We certainly work with clients who sometimes don't have the patience to wait for the kinds of leads that are going to come in through sort of traditional inbound. So for us, it's that kind of balance between, yeah, sure, there's a lot of good inbound work to be done, but right, where does paid play a role in this? Even things like PR, where do those elements play a role in it as well? So it's not dying, it's not dead, it's not going anywhere, but it's like, how do we start to, again, I just think more like a full service sort of agency and get away from this sort of locked in positioning around something that's just so purely inbound. And the other thing I would say too is like, I don't necessarily know that a new client coming in always quite understands what inbound is, right? I think we've run into it where we have clients that they think that what they're buying is a full service agency, and they don't quite get it. So I think it's going to make our lives, I think, a little bit easier in terms of how we reposition this. But I also think it's going to better align with the clients that we're attracting.
Yeah, and I'm just chatting you, Nicole, in our speaker chat there. Piggyback off that, but I think what's important that you mentioned, Jeff, is the perception of what it is a little cloudy. Same thing with RevOps. We're going to talk towards inbound tracks and RevOps tracks today, so stick around for that. But very cloudy, and then of course the adaptability of marketers in this space. It's yes, you're not going to stop creating content. You're not going to stop doing that strategic inbound initiative, but the way you do it is changing. Nicole, I think, again, small agency doing a lot with what you have. Talk to some of the initiatives that you have that we talked about before and some of the ways that you guys are seeing a lot of action, a lot of inbound, quote unquote, leads from your activities.
Yeah, we focus mainly on thought leadership, like you mentioned earlier, because we want it to be authentic and of interest from the person that it's coming from, right? So I think if you follow any of our people, you'll notice they all have this sort of their own flavor. They have certain topics that they like to talk about. They have certain places like watering holes that they like to hang out. And so by having them go out, an army of them go out and sort of spread the word of our company in different ways, I think people are more receptive to that. And so that's why we put budget behind it, enablement behind it, to help support people to be on a podcast or put thought leadership on LinkedIn. Maybe they're hanging out in Slack groups that have HubSpot specific channels in them. There's Discord groups. There's, boot camps that they can train. We sort of don't put a container around it. We just go, here's sort of the demand gen engine we're trying to build. And the best momentum for us, we found, is sort of to just give them a subsidy, right? We will pay you the hours, very small subsidy per role, but they can go off and do something that feels authentic and right to them, that helps build their professional brand. And really all we're trying to do is hang our flag right behind them while they're off building their brand. We kind of call it co-branding with our employees in a way. It's thought leadership, but it's their thought leadership, not ours. And so you see the thoughts of our people, and they say you hire the people you work with, not like the company or its brand. And so these people are out there becoming attractive to other individuals, and then they're sort of like collectively pulling in that interest. And that's how we've created demand.
Yeah, and I think we all know those people that we see from organizations. Sometimes it's the CEO, but sometimes it's that head of blank that is always posting how they figured something new out inside of HubSpot, or what, very intricate sort of connection that they're kind of exploring, some of the things that they're just doing. They're very public about it. Posting a lot is obviously the tricky part, but one of the strategies Nicole mentioned is really enabling your team to, not just be out there and be an influencer, but say, you do have to maintain a public perception that you're a thought leader. Do it in your own way. But in order to be valuable for this organization, part of it is doing your day-to-day work, but the other part of it is being a part of our demand gen strategy, which is thought leadership. So people see us as the agency that really knows their shit. And your employees have to help with that. It can't just be down to the CEO. So we want to close out that topic for just a minute. Jeff, you can think on that if something relevant along the lines of enabling your employees to do demand gen or increase the thought leadership for your agency. But Nathan, we have some topics that I want to get to, because again, you're in that very unique spot where you're seeing new service demand from the agencies. So you're probably a little bit ahead of the customer demand curve, maybe. But tell me, what are you staffing up for? What are you training your team around? What are you looking for skills around to prepare for new demand for services coming at OnTheFuze?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely over the last 2 years, it's wildly changed, I think. And I think it usually falls on what HubSpot's releasing, right? So 2 years ago, I would have never said how many developers we have, but then CMS just got so hot. So now we got like 30 front end devs. So now I think Ops Hub and things like that have opened up a totally different world. And so we start, like, we're probably staffing up more with people that, can do the Node, can do the Python. Data analysts, we're starting to staff up more too. People actually know data, not just import, a CSV file, but actually know how to really manipulate data and get it in. So it's kind of more of those back end stuff, which I think Cohen was starting to talk about, even where we're starting to need more of those back end to put together like a ref ops team, right? Where it's not just one person. It's like you need people that can go across it, because your rev ops person that drives that strategy might not be the same geek that knows the node. And I say geek passionately because I used to write a lot of code, so I'm allowed to say that. So I think we're doing a lot more of those back end people that we're needing right now. I think that's the biggest trend we're seeing. And then tons of, when I say back end, API, because HubSpot going more mid-market and going more enterprise and things like that. You're just seeing deals that if you want to take that whole deal, you got to have these techie people to be able to do the integration, or you're going to lose the deal, or you got to partner with someone, then it gets messy and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just seeing these spots, or these skills. You got to kind of have all of them if you want to kind of grab the whole deal. Otherwise, you're only going to just be doing the most basic part of it, and then having to cut and slice it from there, or lose the deal. So I think that's the biggest thing we've seen, especially on 2 years of just crazy change, I reckon, on what you needed as a stack 2 years ago compared to now, compared to the end of the year.
Would you agree with the comment of maybe 2 years ago is really deep insight into marketing and inbound as a strategy and HubSpot as a product, whereas today it's more hard skills around the tech stack itself, data, and usage of all of the above?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. And I think especially 4 years back, it was even more. And I mean, then at 2 years, there was a drastic, like, okay, this has changed. And then it's just like been an exponential curve coming to now. So, excuse me, I think my prediction is at the end of the year, if you don't have these skill sets, you're going to be missing a lot of freaking deals, like a lot. So I think you really got to start stacking up on these.
Okay, got it. And then we got 10 minutes here. Please ask questions, guys. There's a QA chat. I think everyone's just using the main chat, which is fine, but it can get busy. So you can jump over to the QA, post a question, answer the poll, please, too. But Jeff, in our speaker chat, I have a follow-up question to what Nate mentioned, but I want to kind of snowball this into where partners can help with all of this. Where are hard skill shortages that you guys are seeing at SmartBug? What types of keywords or types of services are you seeing actual shortages on skills? Like it's hard for you to staff up for those.
Yeah.
Anything come to mind?
Yeah, so there's a few things. I think one, on the technical side of it, for sure, right? Making sure that we have the resources in house to handle large integration and/or migration type projects is something that we've come across a lot of. Having the ability to handle, like, for example, large scale sort of Salesforce migrations that we run into quite a bit. The other piece of it, I would say too, and I think this is answering the question, but for us, yes, inbound is part of what we do, but we are finding our way into many, many more sort of RevOps type engagements and RevOps types projects. And what that starts to become is, it becomes challenging for people in strategic roles in our team, on our company, to sort of be generalists across all the hubs, right? So how do we start to build out, I don't want to say sort of vertical areas, but more specific, focused, strategic areas where we can sort of dial in on various hubs that we need to support people with. So it goes well beyond just the inbound marketing piece of it, into sales enablement, into RevOps. So we're seeing that need to get more specialization in there in terms of some of the strategic focus or the experience in more focused experience in those hubs.
Yeah, and there's some good comments here from Nicholas. Thank you for being, a lot of stuff I should probably go back and read later. We do have a question real quick. Nicole, I posed you a question, so think about that real quick. But how are you leaning into Web3, co-earned experiences, anything like that? Everyone can think about that question, some more about Web3 and co-earned experiences, if there's anything relevant there. Think about it for a sec. Feel free to chat a reply in the QA channel. But Nicole, the proposed question along our line of questioning is, how has partnering allowed you to increase the hard skills of your team? So skill up and keep that, we're the thought leaders. How have partners helped you there? And how have partners helped you build pipeline? And how have partners helped you grow in general? And that could be agency partners that you work closely with or tech partners.
Yeah, I can actually speak to both agency partners and tech partners. When we opted to go all in on HubSpot, that's sort of where we really blossomed. And then when we went from marketing agency to RevOps and WebOps, it grew even more, because now it was just really, really clear where we played. Then it opened up our ability to be a good partner to what was once our competition. Now, our peers in the space, they were now friendlies. And so then we built a partner revenue stream that last year was 40% of our revenue came from partner relationships, people referring in, making introductions, bringing us in to co-bid on deals, things like that, because we don't do any marketing services. We don't do content. We don't do creative. We're just very specific, and we're offering services that are complementary with all of our partners. And so by going niche, I think, plenty of people find great success. SmartBug is a wonderful example of being full service and being very large and being able to cross-sell and upsell right within their organization. But that's not always the case, right? So for all of us sort of on the fringe, of which I even know SmartBug does collab with, we need each other more, right? We need to come together as a group often to then deliver a total service to a customer. Better to do it with people in your ecosystem who understand and respect you and respect the relationship and know how to play nice, versus being outside of it, right? So partnering, I think, is hugely valuable, and I've learned it from HubSpot partners. Like, they modeled that behavior for me early on, so then I went and sought to do it myself. It's such a sort of a healthy way to grow.
Yeah, it's hard to grow alone, I guess, is the short. So leverage your partners. We always tell agencies, one of our agencies that does this really well, they invite the tech teams, the product leaders especially, and the sales leaders too, but those people that really know what's going on in the ecosystem and how they can position the product in a good light. But they invite them into lunch and learns, and they do them once every Friday. This agency does, but do it once a month, and pick out a new cool tech that you think can teach you something about that specific niche. So it's hard for Nicole and anybody as a CEO to say, what should you be learning as my team member? But your tech teams have to know as much about that specific topic and that keyword as possible to build the product. So have them come and just teach your team what they should know about the keyword. That's a good sort of strategy there. Just leverage those teams. I have a question here for Jeff, and then we'll get back to Nathan on comments on all this stuff that's going on for you. But Jeff, you guys have made the decision to go into e-commerce and not be exclusive to inbound RevOps and tied only to the ecosystem of HubSpot. But Klaviyo is one of your big partners in e-commerce.
Yep.
Talk to us about that. Any suggestions for those listening? When is it a good time to think about that? What has it done for you guys? Anything at all?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we had it as a goal for the organization to, I think, diversify a little bit, right? In terms of certainly from a partner perspective, the platforms that we're working with, looking for another best-in-class partner that we could get working with. E-commerce was an area we had considered for a long time. We explored a lot of different options. I think it really comes down for us, and one of the things, the big learnings for us is like taking a look at the way that you're structured now. And when you're bringing on another team like that with a different skill set, what does that look like in terms of like how you're organized? Like, what is your reporting structure going to look like? We work in pods. So can we apply that same sort of pod structure to this new team that we're bringing in? And I think bigger picture, I mentioned before, all the different lines of business that we have within the agency, right? So, how do we immediately get to a place where we have service offerings where we can bundle in paid or PR or content strategy and SEO or web, right? We're in the process now on the e-com side of, rolling out new services to build and maintain Shopify sites. So it was really for us by building out that sort of similar service offering around what we could offer to e-commerce clients that we offer for our HubSpot clients, right? Going beyond just the Klaviyo platform or just the HubSpot platform, and then being able to work in those other channels to support their campaigns and their goals.
Got it. And then Nicole, just piggyback on that real quick. Are you seeing any areas where it does kind of, come into e-commerce? I mean, RevOps, obviously back end, it could deal with e-commerce. Are you working with any e-commerce clients?
Not currently. I have in the past. I think e-commerce can mean a lot of things. Commerce online can mean a lot of things.
Yeah,
I think most of the time when you hear the word e-commerce, you think like shopping carts.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, HubSpot does have integrations with some of the bigger names. I think once you fall out of that, then you need to build your own custom integrations. I think people want that data in there, but I would say HubSpot's market isn't necessarily known for e-commerce being, seated in there. I think there are better tools oftentimes that are connecting into those e-commerce shop platforms. That being said, I think more business are looking to do commerce online. That's why HubSpot's getting into payments. That's why people want their QuickBooks connected, their NetSuite connected. People want Xero connected. They want all their financial data to come in. I'm seeing a lot of conversations around that, around invoicing, around building a financial element that pairs, because right now we have sort of a wish and a hope and a dream, like a deal. And we think this is how the deal is actually going to happen. And we might sign some contracts, but that's not how we earn the money. Like the money is actually earned in a very different way, right? It's on payment schedules. We're chasing after a bill. Someone's paying down, a balance, things like that. So bringing in data that lets us see the actual compared to like the wish that we had, and juxtaposing and letting them help each other so that we know, this is what we planned for and this is what we actually got, is actually quite huge right now. The problem is HubSpot just can't build those features fast enough for the people who are like stress testing it. I'm in a couple of beta groups for like payments and invoices and QuickBooks, and it's just like people are like thirsting for this. They will get into the most unstable betas possible so that they could just start to see a vision of bringing that data together.
Love it. I love it. Okay. And then I'll give it to Nathan since he hasn't spoken a couple turns here for final words, what you believe agencies in HubSpot ecosystem should know and be planning for over the next 6 months to a year to make sure that they stay relevant.
I think we're just so techy right now. You got my mind on the tech stuff. So, I mean, obviously the RevOps. I think that's it's the cool, sexy thing that everyone wants to do, and it is real. But what does that mean? I think you got to figure out what it actually means, because I still think everyone hypes it. And
yep.
So what does that mean? What are RevOps? And I think one thing that Jeff said is kind of not just knowing the hub, but knowing all the hubs. Like you got to know all the hubs. Yeah. You can't just get by with just one. And I think, well, funny thing is that one of the reasons we exist is partners, especially marketing agency stuff. They don't know the hubs, so they come to us, and we know all the hubs. But that's why they need us, is because they don't know all the hubs, right? So if you want to do it internally, you got to get people to know all the hubs. I still believe in not just complete generalists. I think you're going to lose out if everyone gets too general. So I still believe in a team that, we call them HubSpot engineers, but then we have people that, they're specifically there for data analyst Python. They're specifically there for Node, because they're not the same brain. And it's not the same brain that is the RevOps driving the strategy, in my opinion. So RevOps driving the strategy, sure, they can probably go do it, but if you have an engineer, they can probably do it better. So I think they got to know it, but you also still, in my opinion, you still have to have the specialists, because I think that's where the teams really glue. And then when you start talking pods and things like that, which we're structured as well, in the pods, each one will have 2 devs, and each one will have 2 front-end devs, 2 back-end devs, 2 Python, 2, so that whole pod has that. And then the learnings across all of them, you got to get the whole teams together. I don't know if I'm answering your question, actually, but
no, this is good. I'm just thinking about some keywords to kind of consider, and where to kind of put your brain power and your resources, right? So,
but I can give actual stats. So I think that where people come to us the most. So maybe it's aligning with sales. But we've done 54 HubSpot websites, CMS websites, in the last 6 months. So that's more
in the previous 6 months? I assume so.
It was about, I think we did 36 in the first. So it's kind of it doesn't slow down. That one just doesn't slow. People are just constantly coming to us. So, but I keep seeing people not cross-sell CMS, which I think is bizarre to me, because it's such an easy cross-sell and there's free MRR. But I see people still not jumping on that bus. But the partners are working with us, man. We're just doing a ton of that. So there has to be something saying that that's still a great one to be skilling up for. But then going in the other one is the RevOps thing, but not just thinking of the RevOps strategy, but what team do you need to actually then execute on that? I think that's where the next piece you got to be skilling up on. And it's not just a one person. I think there's a few pieces of that from what I'm seeing. So I think those are probably the 2 I'm just seeing the most. And then obviously the integration stuff is just exploding.
Okay. So I put a comment there. Deeper integrated data back services on the inbound side is what we're seeing. On the RevOps side, more strategic, creative is a good word to kind of get your team thinking about. Don't just do the black and white of it, but really help your team with the gray and help your clients with the gray. Efficiency around the RevOps side. So not just giving them what you saw another agency's tech stack and setup was, but really look at what's right for them and their vertical and their industry, and know the options and be able to advise around the options. Unfortunately, we're overtime, guys. So I do have to cut this off. We got our first inbound tracks coming up right now. Stay for those. Some really actionable how to set up and sell new services. We're talking about service revenue on top of some awesome platforms. So Nicole, Jeff, Nathan, huge. Thank you guys so much for taking the time and coming over with us.
No, thank you. Appreciate you for putting this together. This is awesome for all the partners. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll send out links to all these guys' sites and all their social stuff. So follow them and engage, and obviously learn. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thanks all.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.